Okay, picking up from where I left off in the last vintage Christmas stuff vid. Here's part 2. There's some old Christmas cards. Dude, I love that old log font. Or old Christmas cards. There's a great old celluloid plastic wall hanging die cut. And now I realized when I made the Disney stuff Christmas vid that I forgot to include these 80s Disney wooden ornaments, classic 80s wooden ornaments. So even though these aren't super vintage or really vintage, or I don't know, maybe are the 80s vintage now? So I thought I'd throw them in here just to get them in a vid. And let's see, vintage stuff. There's an old Santa cake topper, Wilton, classic Wilton cake item. And let's see, vintage. I won't include any of the, like I already shot a vid of the Santa shelf and all the vintage, or all the peanut stuff, so I won't include any of that in the vintage video. Let's see, what over here is vintage. Oh, more Christmas cards. I organize all my vintage Christmas cards in themes. These are all of the sleigh ride outside in the snow variety. Lots of Victorian imagery in there I love. And there, that's all like poinsettia and wreaths and foliage themed cards. Old cards. Dude, there's some old, my grandma's Christmas corsages, some of my aunts, and like old pics and stuff. There's another one. Let's see. What vintage stuff is over here? What am I missing? More old Christmas cards. Actually, those are from the 80s. I forgot to include those in the Disney vid too. I love this. Is one of my favorite cards. Old Victorian era. It's from the 70s, but Victorian era toy shop. Old lamp die cut. These are ornaments themed vintage cards. Those are old. And there's a crochet pot holder, Christmas bell my mom made in the 70s. Needlepoint ornament thing. Let's see. Gift tag pick. Let me shut the window on this one. Let me see if that shows up better. A little bit. Vintage gift tag. Another vintage gift tag pick. Oh, whoops. Gift tag. Now, these are some of my favorite things. Back in the early 80s, there's this company called Empire, and they made these frosted glass candles that they used to sell. Like schools would sell them to raise money for stuff. I remember these in school so well. There's one of them. Now, be careful. There's another one. Love that old style. It's hard to believe these are only from the early 80s because they seem like they're from the 60s, but that's when they made them. Old brass angel candle holder. Let's see what over here is vintage. Oh, there's some old Peter Pan and Simon Says 45 sleeves. And that's an old Christmas box light, or Christmas light box top. There's another one of those celluloid plastic die cuts. Classic Santa. There's some old Bastille vintage honeycomb bell. And there's a little one over there. Let's see, some old candles. Let's see, what over here is vintage? What am I missing? Oh, these are some of my most prized, cherished possessions for Christmas. And these is from the 50s, an old mica putz. Yeah, that's what they're called, mica putz houses. These were my grandmother's, and she gave these to me when I was a little kid, and these sat on the dresser in my room under my little foot-tall tree my entire childhood. Very precious. Some old seafoam green C7 bulbs. Let's see. What else over here is vintage? We got this. It's old manor house. Let's see here. Old manor house chocolate box. That was my grandmother. See, that was her. See, it says tape and rickrack. She used this as an old sewing box. Let's see. That's an old cookie tin from the late 60s or early 70s. Okay, I think that's it for the... Oh, and these were my grandmother's. These little Christmas porcelain bells. Everybody from the old days had those. Let's see, what vintage stuff am I missing over here? I guess that's it. Oh, actually. Okay. This is the bathroom. This is another one of those big celluloid plastic die cuts. Okay, that is it. That's part 2 of all the vintage Christmas stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care.